Would you guys be down for listening to Jimmy Dick talk about anything else?
Yeah.
You got a success story in you or something good like that for us, my brother? Welcome Jimmy Dick back.
I can't tell you how delighted I am really to be here. Connecticut is really special to me. Success factor. That's what I want to talk about. What does it mean to be successful? Somebody help me out. Success. How do you measure success? Yes, go ahead.
Well, when you love your life. It's not about the money that you make during your life.
I didn't hear you. Stand up and say it loud, son.
It's not about the money that you make during your life. It's about what you do during your life that you enjoy.
Absolutely. That's good. So you don't measure success to how much money somebody has. So if somebody's a multi-millionaire, does that mean they were successful? That's good. How old are you? How old?
11.
Give me your address, and in 7 more years, I'm going to contact you. Success. What is success? If it's not money, it's not a measure of accumulated. What is success?
Freedom to make choices.
Freedom to make choices. That's good. Freedom to make choices. Somebody else.
Not having to wear shoes.
Not having what?
Not having to wear shoes.
Not having to wear shoes. That's a good one. You know, maybe I was successful at birth. I was born barefoot. Okay, Mo.
I would say living the life that you want to live.
Living the life that you want to live.
By leaving a wonderful legacy.
Leaving a legacy. All these things are true. I have this thing that I said there's 2 great events in someone's life. And one is called birth, and one is called death. And there's a long line between the two if we live a long life. And all of that that's between is called time. And we measure life in segments mathematically called time. Seconds, minutes, hours, days, months, years, and we live with that concept. Now, I was asked one time at a conference down in Texas, there was a group of, I call the water walkers, a parade of egos on the stage, and they asked each of us, what is our fear in that word? What is our greatest fear? And I was the last one down on the right-hand side, and I said, my greatest fear, let me start that over. I said, I fear no one. I fear no mortal. I don't fear death. I've looked death in the eye several times, and I can tell you it's not a bad thing to deal with. I have no fear of death. But I do have a fear, and that is that my life would have been lived and not made a difference, it not count. That you lived a life, the gift that's given of life, and you didn't make it count. Now, how do you make a life count? Well, it's real simple. You can put in all kind of philosophical, spiritual, social definitions on that, but to make a life count, it means that you made a difference. In other words, your being here made it different for those who were here in a positive way. That counted. You can have a life that counted negative. In other words, your being here made things worse for those who were here and those who were coming after you. And therefore, your life was wasted. Or that you did nothing. Very few of us think that through, but we're given the opportunity to make a difference. And so to me, success is making your life make a difference. That you can live the legacy when it's all over and said and done, looking backwards. You get to my age, you begin to do that. But looking backwards and say, it was done. I'm pleased. It was well done. I'm okay with this. And had I to do it over again, Tommy, I'd probably do it much the same way. That is success. Success is measured in whether or not it counted. Now, I want to get on the success factor. Everything you've heard here today is great information. You've got great ideas and concepts, and you've been writing down the things that little tidbits and little cookies and little goodies that you can carry home. Nothing you've heard here will make one bit of difference in your life unless you get in touch with one basic, very deep-seated truth about yourself. If you believe you can, Henry Ford says this, right? If you believe you can, you're absolutely correct. If you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can. It's all about belief. I want to tell you a little story. Back in the days, early in the Excel days, so people discovered I could talk. And so they started asking, come here and do this talk. Come here and do this training. And I'm not very organized. I'm dyslexic and I'm not a very structured person. And my beautiful wife keeps me. She sometimes I think I'd leave the house without my pants on. She'd have to tell me. And so I'm just, I'm a big picture person. I see the global thing. I mean the big. I'm not detailed at all. And like for money, that's why she gave me $20. She lived, guys. She left it. I've been made millions. You leave it up to me. I made $1 million. I can spend $1 million too. Money means nothing to me. It really don't. I could care less. One for her. I'd probably be living in a tent somewhere in the woods. So, that's the bigger thing. I could be the guy that grows the hair and sits out and, plays the harp and does the philosophy thing. But I was asked to come speak to a group in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I said, yes, I'll come. And then I was asked on the same day to speak to a group in Greenville, South Carolina. And I said, yeah, I'll be there. Now, those two cities are about 3.5 hours apart on Interstate 85 at 80 miles an hour. So I called the people in Raleigh when I discovered the conflict, and I said, you guys put me up first because they had me closing out the deal. So I called the people in Greenville who had me right after lunch, and I said, you put me up last. So I go to Raleigh, I do the deal, I jump in the car, I'm down the interstate, right to Greenville, South Carolina. I go in, there's 1,200 people in the auditorium. And I go to the front, and I sit down, and I'm trying to catch my breath. And I looked over to the lady beside me, and I said, when am I up? And she said, next. And I said, do you have a program? And she said, well, what? I said, what am I talking about? What program? What do they have me on the program? And you notice you never see me with numbers. What am I talking about? And so they got a program, and I looked and said, Jimmy Dick, the success factor. So I'm putting together my thoughts in my mind, and I'm doing my 3 points in the poem, and doing my outline, and it's all being done mentally, and I got it. And behind me was this little boy who was restless. And the lady up on the stage was talking about how to support your spouse in building a network marketing business. Now, this little 5 or 6-year-old didn't care. He wasn't interested in that. And his name was Josh. And the reason I know his name was Josh is because his mother kept saying, be still, Josh. And that interrupted my thought. Stop that, Josh. Now, it's not attention deficit disorder. It's attention overload disorder. I don't shut things out. I hear conversations here and there. I'm trying to tell you the truth. And so I can't get my thoughts together because she's messing with Josh. And I'm sitting there thinking, shut up, baby. And then she keeps going, I'm going to spank you, Josh. You wait till I get you home, Josh. And that went way back. All the way to Anderson Grove Baptist Church in the hot summertime in the deep south. The stained glass windows are raised up. The preacher's a big old fat man up at the pulpit with jaws. What's scared? I can do it now. And he's preaching about a fire 7 times hotter than the hottest fire on earth. And going to hell. He scared the hell out of me. And big ladies in the church whooping those fans. And shorts on and Buster Brown shoes. And some of y'all don't remember them, but every time you move, squeak on that. And I could hear my mother say, be still, Jimmy. Stop that, Jimmy. You wait till I get you home, Jimmy. And I couldn't stand it anymore, so I turned around and I handed Josh the piece of paper with the program on it, and I said, Josh, Because I wanted to get her shut up, give him something to do. He was there. I said, Josh, would you draw me a horse? The little boy nodded yes. And so I went around and it worked. She hushed, he was busy. And then we said, and our next speaker is, and the little hand tapped me on the shoulder. And the little boy handed me the paper back, smiled real big. And I pulled it and I looked at it and I thought, this is the success factor. So my entire speech changed on the spur of the moment. So I walked up on that stage, Jim, and I said, 1,200 people. I said, I'm here to speak to you about the success factor. But before I start, I would like to ask, who in here has got this great, huge whiteboard up there, Tommy? And I said, who will come up here? Who can come up here and draw me a horse? 2 hands went up in that auditorium. Josh and the high school art teacher that was over here. And then I turned this around and told them what I'd done and told them the story. And I said, this child was asked to draw a horse, and he didn't draw one. He drew 2. A big one and a little one. Round circle, stick legs, another round circle, ears, and a mouth and eyes. See, he didn't know he couldn't draw a horse because he hadn't learned that yet. Because the society that he lived in, the school, the teachers, his peers, his parents, hadn't told him enough times that you can't do it. So I said to these people, what happened to you? What happens to us from the time we are 4 or 5 years old until we get to be 40, 50, 60 years old to take the I can do it out of us? What happened to us? If I asked 1,200 4 or 5 or 6 year olds, who in here could draw me a horse? 1,200 hands would have been in there. Some of them would have been up on the seat. I couldn't do it. Let me do it. I can have 1,200 people. I can't get any of you people to say you can draw a horse. Because you don't believe you can. And so I said to them, if you want to be successful, you have to recapture what you had as a child before it was stolen from you. And that is, I can do it. I can do it. Woo! I can do it.